Okay, so a nightmare story. Let's dive into this. This is a story that basically, if I, this happened later in my flipping career, which is why I was lucky, because if this would have happened at the beginning of my career, I could have been exactly that individual I was just sharing you, who literally would have been wiped out and would have had to start over from scratch, and all my savings would have been gone. Because basically what I did, the very first flip, I shouldn't say it was the very first flip, but early in my career I was borrowing a hard money loan and then utilizing my money to renovate it. And so if I lost money, it affected me majorly, because now my bank account was gone. And now, as I mentioned, I'm usually borrowing in many cases 2 loans, and so it's minimizing my risk as using other people's money. But let me just kind of share. One of the reasons I'm able to utilize 2 loans is because of my experience. So lenders feel comfortable giving me a second loan to cover the renovations. If I was brand new, I probably wouldn't have a lender who's going to give me a second loan. But back to the story. I purchased this home, and this home was supposed to be a really minor rehab. It was one of the ones that I was going to spend the least amount of money on. It was like I walked through the house. Actually, I didn't walk through the house. I bought this house sight unseen. I watched a video. So I bought it from a wholesaler. And the wholesaler had filmed a video, and so I couldn't get access. The rule was the wholesaler, said the house is still being occupied. And so there's no showings. You're basically going to have to make the decision if you want to buy this house or not buy this house based off of this video and the picture. So if you don't want to purchase a house sight unseen, then this is not the house for you. Well, I buy a lot of houses sight unseen, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I can get a lot of information from a good video. So I watched the video and I was like, wow, that's good shape. I mean, a little dated, but not that dated. And a lot of the bathroom, a lot of the kitchen, a lot of it was in good shape. So I was like, sure, this property had a little less profit than I would have liked, but it also had a lot less work than I normally would do. So I thought, yeah, the trade is there. I'll be able to buy this, not spend a lot of money. I'm not going to make a ton, but it's a base hit, right? It's always good. Usually, baseball teams that consistently hit base hits win the game versus the team that hits 1 or 2 home runs, right? So it's a base hit. I like base hits. Nice, consistent income constantly coming in, base hit after base hit. Sure, home runs are nice, but base hits are great. So we end up buying this property and we start diving into it, and I'm not kidding you, everything that could happen wrong happened wrong. And we dove into this property, started renovating, and then next thing you know, one of the biggest things that we ran into was plumbing issues. So the house had plumbing done that we're guessing, we can't confirm, was probably done by the homeowner. Which, if you know plumbing, then that's not the end of the world. If you can do your own plumbing, that's great. But unfortunately, this individual wasn't the best plumber, or whoever plumbed it. I just happen to think it was probably the homeowner, because we got word that he was a very do-it-yourself guy. And so we're just guessing. He may have hired a plumber. Whoever it was, whoever plumbed had not connected the joints very well in a lot of different locations. And they must have just recently replumbed, thinking, oh, let's fix these things because we're getting ready to sell. I don't know when, but one day we just show up at the house and our basement ceiling had caved in several different places, and it was like one day, and then we came back a week later, and another space and another location, the ceiling caved in, and it was basically dripping water, leaking water over time. So, between cleaning up the water and fixing up the plumbing and all the other stuff that were unrelated to plumbing, we ended up, I think it was close to almost 20 grand negative. And I'll tell you right now, when you know that you are not going to make money on a flip, but you still have another $15,000 that you still need to put into it before it's done, so you can at least sell it, because you want to get back at least what you can get back. You don't want to lose all your money. In this case, we lost $20,000, but we didn't want to lose more than that. So we had to finish the house. That's the hardest part, is you still have to finish it. So it is very difficult to keep spending more money when you have already done the accounting, knowing I'm already in the negative on this particular transaction, and I got to keep spending. So basically got that property done. When it was done, it looked drop dead gorgeous. It sold for top dollar in the market. You know, it was very desirable. Everybody loved it. The problem is we unfortunately overspent what we should have spent in that particular neighborhood, so we couldn't get the money back that we had spent and put into it. So hypothetically, it was, you know, a nightmare situation. So some of the things that, you know, I learned in this particular scenario is, again, can you afford to lose? In this particular case, I bought the property sight unseen. You know, maybe if we would have had a home inspector go in, they can oftentimes locate moisture behind a wall. You know, maybe we would have discovered had we gotten a home inspection where this moisture was. But because we buy property sight unseen, we usually buy them without home inspections. That was just something, that's just part of the game. That's just what we do over and over. That's what a lot of flippers do. We just buy it as is. And so in this particular case, I bought it as is, not knowing that what I saw in the video the property was a lot worse than what I could see on the video, and so dove into it. So good lesson here is, if you're just getting started, you know, even if it's presented to you in a phenomenal way, unless you can get in there and minimize your risk by getting a home inspection, seeing it with your own eyes, getting contractors in there to get bids. You know, if it was a traditional sale when we purchased this house, we would have done all of that stuff. And we probably would have caught, you know, all this leaking water all over the place, and then we would have been able to ask the seller to fix it, or ask for some type of concession to compensate us for those, you know, future repairs. But of course, we bought it as is, and then we had to encounter those extra expenses. So that is definitely a nightmare story. It's never fun to lose money. All right, so now we're going to jump over to commercial break again, but when we come back, we're going to go into the step-by-step of flipping a house, so don't go anywhere. Hi, I'm Yoshi Shiraki, the author of the book, My Body's Just For Me, the book written for children to educate children on the prevention of child abuse. With the assistance of multiple best-selling author Richard Paul Evans, we were able to publish this book as a tool to help break the ice in an easy and innocent way to help children understand and learn how to speak up and communicate. I have been invited numerous times onto Good Things Utah to discuss the importance of good communication with your child in regards to abuse, and also to discuss how the book, My Body's Just For Me, is a great tool for every parent when having that tricky conversation with their children. For more information on the book, My Body's Just For Me, please visit www.protectourangels.com today. And remember, the more we focus on prevention, the less we'll have to focus on rehabilitation.